You are listening to the Disney Dream Girls, an unofficial Disney Theme Parks podcast, and this is show number 546, the Sunday, the 27th of April, 2025.
Where dreams begin.
Hello and welcome to this week's Disney Dream Girls. My name is Michelle Young, and together with my jolly good chum Jane Phipps, we are your guides to the place where dreams begin. Hello there, Jane.
Hello there, Michelle. Are we surviving our first week back at work?
Next question.
Okay. We'll move on quickly then, shall we?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I had a lovely Easter, did you?
Did actually, yeah. It was very quiet. I actually managed to find somewhere that was open on Easter Sunday just to go for a coffee. That was quite nice.
Oh.
Yeah, very, very chilled weekend. I spoke to you. That was nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
I'm sulking still I didn't get an Easter egg. But we all know what happens in the UK. The day after any chocolate-based celebration, you get cut price Easter eggs or cut price chocolate day. Yeah. So I was in my element walking around the supermarket looking at the half-price offerings. But despite posting a picture to that there Instagram, I was not swayed by the glitzy boxes and the promise of delights inside. Instead, I bought myself a Cadbury's cream egg and was thoroughly disappointed with it.
Yeah, without wanting to sound like a grumpy old woman, they're not the same as when we were kids, are they?
No. When you were a kid and you had a Cadbury's cream egg, the base was a really thick, lovely chocolate. And they were bigger. They almost filled your hand. Now they're these tiny little chicken eggs and not as enjoyable. I should have just stuck to eating the delectable chocolate salted caramels that I snuck back from the US of A.
Oh, they sound far nicer to be fair, Michelle.
Do you know what, Jane? Dark chocolate caramels with sea salt on the top. They are sublime, but the size of the solid caramel is so big, I can only manage one a day.
Well, that's okay, because then you make them last and you can enjoy the experience and all the memories much longer.
They'll last forever. They're in a 2 kg bottle.
Well, it keeps you going to your next visit stateside, put it that way.
Let's hope so. Anyway, before we keep going down the Disney Dream Girl chocolate podcast, let's flick stuff back and take you to On This Day in Disney History. And, well, this is a really surreal one, Jane. Going back to 2021... The Disneyland Resort welcomes its cast members back to Disneyland for an extra special soft opening because it reopened to the public on the 30th of April after the historic, unprecedented, never previously heard of theme park closure because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Looking back now and you think, wow.
Did we? What happened? Yeah.
It's staggering
bizarre,
to be quite, it's totally unprecedented in our lifetime. So it's like, wow.
Yeah, it is one of those kind of pincher moments, isn't it? Did we actually do that? Did that really happen? And it did.
Yeah. And we're still here to smile and move on with things. But yeah,
Absolutely.
That was a little bit of a anniversary on there. Not much else happening as I flick through the old history annals apart from, and this might link into something else we'll discuss later, 1994. The Lion King, the original motion picture soundtrack, was released to connect to the 1994 animated film. And we all know the classic songs written by Elton John and Tim Rice. The score was composed by Hans Zimmer and it became the biggest selling soundtrack ever from an animated film.
Wow, didn't know that.
So
makes sense though, yeah.
I know, absolutely iconic and We'll see where we go with today's discussion. We may do a 360 and come back to this. It depends on how much content your fair self brings to the table, because in today's show, following on from last week's, we are talking more about the attraction Jane's enjoyed on her monster epic trip back to Walt Disney World. And today we are going to be celebrating all things Epcotian.
Epcotian. Is that the name that Mr. Terry Crews calls us on Guardians? Epcotians.
Well, absolutely. And why don't we start with that attraction? Because Jane is sick to death of me talking about Guardians of the Galaxy is amazing. Guardians of the Galaxy, Jane, you've got to get there. You've got to get there. It's fantastic. And then just a mere couple of weeks before your trip, Disney threw things on your head because they removed the virtual queue and put this attraction into standby.
Yeah, which I didn't have any objections to, because I was quite looking forward to not having to be on my phone at stupid o'clock in the morning when I'm on holiday and trying to have a bit of a lie in and just take things very chill. So that suited me absolutely down to the ground. I know a lot of other people, it maybe doesn't work so well for them, but it doesn't bother me at all. I never experienced it on virtual queue, therefore it's a ride with standby. Yeah, great, let's get on with it.
However, let me take you back to that evening, that fateful evening, or early afternoon for you, where I was being bombarded by text messages from Jane. I'm in a queue. It's not moving. Still not moving. What shall we do? Shall we bail? What shall we do? Shall we wait a bit longer? Michelle, I'm getting fed up!
Yeah, so the story goes, guys, that it was a bit of a wet day actually at Epcot. It started off, it was a bit grey and a bit cloudy, and we had rain in the area. So we decided that the queue time wasn't too bad. It was about 90 minutes. We said we'd just take a punt on it because we knew that once we got inside, we'd be out of the rain. Now, as it was, by the time we got over there, the rain had kind of eased off anyway. So although we had to queue outside in that new little area with all the little parasols, it didn't actually bother us because, say, the rain had actually stopped. But we were kind of thinking, well, if we're inside for a long time and it's wet out, it doesn't really matter. That was kind of the attitude that we went in with. So we queued and it moved quite nicely, actually. I wasn't overly concerned, and we were having a nice little chat and getting around the whole queue area and able to actually, take in the queue and appreciate what was going on around us and all the bits and pieces. It was lovely, jubbly, getting on perfectly fine. And we got to within touching distance of the pre-show room, and it just stopped. And I thought, oh, okay. And then it stopped, and that's when I think probably I started messaging Michelle, and it just wasn't going anywhere. But because we thought it was raining outside, we thought, well, we'll just keep hanging on and keep hanging on and keep hanging on, and then people would walk past us and leave the queue, and there was what's happening, and you get those lovely announcements going out over a tannoy system that I can never understand what's being said, because everybody around me seems to want to talk uber loud when something's being announced. Very annoying and frustrating. But anyway, we kind of stuck it out. And actually, it was the right thing to do because it then did move and we got through and everything was hunky-dory and we got to ride it. However, our total time, so we joined it at a 90-minute wait. Mm-hmm. Our total time from joining the queue to standing in the gift shop afterwards was just over 2.5 hours. And let's just say that by the time we actually got to ride the ride, I could have done with a bit of a loo break. So, bathroom break for our American friends. Because standing that long in line, you suddenly do become aware of all your bodily functions, whether it's an aching back or a numb bum because you've been sat on the floor too long. And I was glad to get off and go to the bathroom afterwards because it had been quite a while that we'd been stood. But I did ride it in all of this. Are you proud of me, Michelle? Because I rode a roller coaster.
I'm incredibly proud of you, Jane. But I want to just rewind a little bit.
Oh, okay.
What did you think to the queue experience, apart from having to be in it a very long time? Were you impressed with the exhibits, and what did you think of the double pre-show?
I actually loved all of it. I was really impressed. I mean, I've seen an awful lot of it online. Obviously, being a Disney fan, sometimes you try to resist seeing things, don't you? Other times, it's just if you're following different vloggers and things, you end up getting more spoilers than you perhaps intended. But no, I really liked the queue area, and I knew what was coming with the two pre-shows. Effectively, I thought it all worked really well. Like I said last week, you have to remember I'm riding this with Simon. The man notices things that most normal human beings don't notice. So something will happen, whether it's on a screen or in the queue, and I get like a little nudge and a sharp intake of breath, and I go, why? What's happened? And it's gone over my head, and he notices things. So he was telling me bits and bobs. I go, right, yes, I didn't notice that. Lovely, fine. Let's get on the ride now. No, I loved it all, and I love Terry Crews as well. So I was quite happy laughing at him in the pre-shows.
Did the people on the pre-show area behave, or did they all stampede to the right-hand side for the doors?
There was a little bit of how can we say it? Yeah, I wouldn't say stampede, but there was a definite swarm towards the right-hand side. We had been talking to a couple just as we were about to go in, and they were kind of saying, go here, and I was like, that's lovely, and I know what you're trying to do, but it's like, well, we're all going to get on eventually. I was quite happy just to try and experience it as a newbie and just go with the flow. So although I knew what was happening, and I knew why everybody was going that way, and it goes, you get this with everything we did on this vacation. We were being chill about it. We knew we were going to get on, and we just kind of went with it and didn't try to get too swept up with the kerfuffle, shall we say.
Okay, so you've got through the queue system, you've avoided all the kerfuffle. Mm-hmm. Let's talk a little bit about the ride experience. What did you think?
I was, I think Jane's going to try and choose her words. I was very pleasantly surprised because, anybody that knows me knows that I'm not a big roller coaster person. So I was going into this very trepidatiously because I didn't want to experience anything that I didn't like. But everybody had assured me, yourself included, that this was a very smooth roller coaster. And I have to say, it is uberly smooth. I actually looked quite happy on the ride photo, which I was quite surprised about. And I was quite surprised I had my eyes open, to be honest. There was one moment where you're obviously banking round a curve, and I genuinely thought, I'm facing upside down here. I really thought I was kind of facing the floor. And it's obviously just the motion and where they're swinging you and everything. And I was kind of a bit concerned that because the car moves so it points you at things rather than where the track is going, that I was worried that I might find that a little bit disorientating. I didn't actually, because I think they do it so well that I actually really did enjoy it. I came off and I was really happy that I did it. I really enjoyed my time on it. We got a flock of seagulls for our song, and that was really cool. But I'm not left with a burning desire like I know you are, Michelle, or a lot of other people out there to re-ride it. I will probably do it again at some point in the future, but it's not going to be, I've got like a big must do every time I go. Mm-hmm. And I will comment that putting stairs is so cruel when you get off that ride, because both Sam and I, our legs were jelly, and we kind of came down, we're like, whoa, I just need like 2 minutes just to kind of regain my composure. Or there's air conditioning and a shop. Let's go in there for a bit of quiet, which we did, and kind of just came around a little bit, because it didn't make us feel motion sickness, but it just I found it quite an intense feeling when you kind of get back on terra firma. So that would be my warning to anybody: just don't go running off. Just take it nice and calm and collected when you get off, and just let your body balance kick back in before you try and run off anywhere.
I do appreciate that, and I do get it, having gone with somebody who does have sort of issues along that sort of way with that particular attraction. And I will say that if you are like that, take a moment, and if you are really physically struggling, do bear in mind that over to your left there is an elevator that'll take you up to the top of the stairs, then you walk a diagonal, and then there's an elevator that'll take you down back to ground floor exit. And it is available for people that do have mobility issues, but also don't push yourself, because those stairs can be quite frightening. And the last thing a cast member wants to deal with is you falling downstairs because you're still a bit discombobulated. So please do bear that in mind, and don't be afraid to take the elevator. It's not like wearing the cone of shame if you've got a dog problem. It's like you're being sensible, you're trying to avoid an issue. And I know a few times I've used the elevator with my friend, as I say, and people did give us a bit of a look. And I thought, do you know what? Some disabilities are hidden and some issues are hidden, and it's none of your business. So take your eyes off me. Thank you very much, lady.
Yeah, no, I'm absolutely in agreement with you, Michelle. And the thing is, when you've done the ride, it's not like you're rushing to get anywhere. Just take your time and just stand for 5 minutes or whatever you need, or use the elevators if you need to. Nobody's pressurizing you to clear the area or anything like that. So just be sensible about it. But I say, I am glad I did it, and I enjoyed it much more than I thought I did. But there was one moment where I'm thinking, oh, it's just gone on a little bit too long now. And then it moved again and I was okay. But yeah, it's a phenomenal ride, and just the size and the scope of the projections and the screens that in that ride is just gobstopping. It's phenomenal.
So I'm now going to throw a spanner in the works.
Oh, God.
For as much as I moaned about a virtual queue and the fact of having to get up so early on a holiday, I kind of think I don't want to wait 2.5 hours in a ride queue to get on an attraction. I actually don't mind now, looking at what the consequences could be of a standby, of physically having to wait maybe 2 hours for this attraction. I want to go back to the virtual queue.
Yeah. Well, it's a weird one, isn't it? It's like, I've never experienced a virtual queue, and the whole idea for me personally felt, something else to look at my phone for. I really don't need it. So I've not known anything different in that respect. And to be fair, there were times when that queue wait time had been lower. We were there, we were hitting a lot of spring break crowds, so it was genuinely busy, and obviously Test Track was down, so you had lost one of your other big thrill attraction rides there. So consequently, you're going to have that knock-on effect on any thrill ride that's up and running. And unfortunately for us, it just happened that we hit a little bit of a glitch with it, but it wasn't down for that long. Really, I think we probably waited an extra half an hour, whatever. So it was fine, and we coped, and it was all good in the end. But we could have joined it on different days with smaller queues, and it was only because it was like, it's a bit of a damp day. We've been to Epcot by this point a couple of 3 times probably. So therefore, it was the beauty of us having this long extended stay was that we could afford to take those wait times. Whereas I appreciate if you're only over in the parks for a smaller, limited number of days, then you've got to pick where you want to go and how you're going to do those attractions much more carefully than perhaps we needed to do on this occasion.
Okay, let's move on and go through some of the attractions that are in Epcot that you possibly may not have experienced before. And I'm going to be a bit of a nerd. I'm going to do it in A to Z values.
Oh, okay.
So, Beauty and the Beast Sing-Along, which is in the theatre in France. Did you manage to go and have a little bit of parler français?
No.
Okay.
That was the easy question, wasn't it?
That was. To be honest, Jane, I haven't been and done it myself either, because I just haven't. And I think if I do get to Walt Disney World again, I think I will have to make myself do it, because one, it's nice air conditioning.
Yeah.
And I really do enjoy the Frozen version that they've got in Hollywood Studios or over in Disneyland, because it's a bit of fun and the characters have a lot of laughs with it. So I think I'm going to force myself, and I think maybe next trip for you, Jane.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think sometimes you can get a little bit sidetracked by all the big big glossy attractions, and you forget about these little ones, and it kind of just slipped off my radar, if I'm being truthful. So yeah, I think subsequent trips I'll be in a better position to go, right, okay, let's have that bit more of an action plan list of things we didn't do for whatever reason, and make sure we get some things ticked off.
So I'm now mentally trying to recall every single photo that I've seen of yours from the trip.
Oh, crikey.
I don't recall a picture of you and Symes sat with Walt at Dreamer's Point. Did you even visit it?
We did, yes.
Oh,
yeah.
phew.
Yeah, no, we have got pictures, I think, just of us individually sat there, not both of us together. I don't think, she says, trying to remember.
So what did you think to what they've done with the statue?
It was, I mean, it kind of, that element of, it was lovely to sit there and put your arm round sort of thing. I was more pleasantly surprised by that area than I thought I was going to be. Again, the downfall of the YouTubes and the vloggers, etc. You think you know what something's going to look like. It's a well done area. It is a bit, I'll use the phrase like Apple Campus. Is that thing of, it could be a big tech company's open air campus type place. It does have that little bit of a vibe going on, and I think there is that element of it's maybe not quite the position that we perhaps thought it was going to be from those original concept drawings. And we know lots of things changed, and that's a real shame. And it is missing that kinetic energy that water brings to that, or did bring to that area. But yeah, we did the usual. We did the sit down, and we walked through that area, and we kind of saw it a little bit at night time. There's a few bits of the LED lighting or whatever it is that wasn't working, but most of it was when we were there, so it wasn't too bad. And it felt a lot smaller space than I thought it was going to be. I think from what I'd seen online, I got impressions that it was quite much more open, and therefore kind of open to all the elements, where I'd actually felt it was a lot more grown in than I was expecting in that respect. So yeah, it's what it is, and we can't really do anything else about it at the moment.
Okay. Well, I'm just thinking now to basically the Communicar building, because while you were there, it was showcasing the creation of topiaries.
Yeah, again, I knew what I was walking into. They are trying to make a better use of that space, and it had a little display in there to do with all the topiaries, which was quite nice. It had the kitchen that was open, had a lovely blueberry cheesecakey thing from in there. So it was nice in that respect, but it does have that sort of the quote-unquote school cafeteria vibe going on. So yeah, nice little escape, but it does feel a little bit like there's a space here that you could have done so much better. And especially, harking back to the old interventions and things that was in that area with all these hand-on exhibits, and when you used to be able to go in there, and I appreciate a lot of that would be so dated now, but to do those little scientific-y things and really evoking that educational edutainment type of vibe that was so Epcot back in the 80s and the 90s, you kind of lament that not being there now, and to have just a room that's going to get used for a few kitchens and a few displays. It's nice to see them doing something in there rather than it just being a room with tables and chairs in. And then that kind of goes for the outdoor space as well. We didn't go and see anything at the Encanto show because it's for kids. It's we could hear it often enough.
Yeah, that sound does travel.
It does. And then there was the DJing and kids dance disco something or other happening, and again I understand what the methodology is behind it, but it kind of feels a bit incongruous with that area of Epcot, it always being much more towards the future. And I still kept calling it Future World, and I still can't remember what the three blooming worlds are, because I have to really sit and think about it every time we talk about it. So I still refer to it as Future World because it's easier. But yeah, there was times when it's like, do I really need to hear the cha-cha slide from over by the Land Pavilion? Do you know what I mean? It was a little bit jarring at times.
Yeah, I know completely what you mean. It is a bit of an odd one.
Mm.
Let's move on to Norway Pavilion. And the last time you were there, you didn't have the opportunity to ride Frozen Ever After because it was Maelstrom.
It was
So what do you
Maelstrom still.
think?
Oh, I loved it. We rode it a couple of times. We just struck it nicely with wait times. We had some lovely chats with families in the queue. I thought the theming inside the queue, it was kind of like a lot of, oh, I wonder what this did look like. And I thought, oh, have we got any home video of walking around the Maelstrom queue from 1992 or something? We probably have somewhere. I need to set time along with a task and try and find it. And there was that element of like, oh, I wonder what was here originally and how have they changed it and what have you. So yeah, and I thought they'd done the ride really, really well because I loved Maelstrom. So I was a little bit like, oh, they've took Maelstrom away. What's it going to be like? But no, we had two lovely rides. The first time we went on, we'd got a family of four sat behind us with two little girls. And I don't know if I shared the ride photo either online or with you, Michelle, but me and Simon actually made sure that we kind of sat at either end of the seat so that the two little girls who were sat in the middle behind us could actually see. So when we looked at the ride photo, it's like, oh, where are we? And it's like, oh, yeah, there we are. We're not sat next to each other because we purposely made a gap for the two little girls that were behind us. And then the second time we rode it, yeah, we came off with wet bottoms because the seat where we were was absolutely drenched. We literally sat down into water and it was like, oh, that's going to be us for the next hour or so then, isn't it? But no, loved it. Loved all the effects that were going on. Loved it. I'd rather have full facial animatronics rather than the projections, but other than that, yeah, no, really nice. Loved it.
Talking of water, what did you think to the journey of water inspired by Moana?
Actually, I really quite liked the area. We were able to walk around it one evening, so it was just starting to cool down. Therefore, there wasn't as many people in there, so we could see more of the area. Anybody with a camera, there are some amazing photo opportunities within that area, especially when you can get Te Fiti with the Epcot ball behind her and everything like that. Some beautiful photos to be caught. We didn't particularly interact with much of the water things because there was children around, and we were very much kind of like, let them play, and we were happy to watch others get wet rather than us getting wet. We did it again another day when it was a little bit more crowded, but even then it was still lovely to walk around, and we had a better day, as in there was blue skies and it was sunny and it was warm, so it was really quite nice to be walking around that slightly cooler environment because of all the water going on. And we got some lovely photos taken with our photo pass as well. So I was pleasantly surprised with it. Wasn't as big as what I thought it was going to be. I think they could have done a much larger area. Would have been nice, but it's done really well, and it kind of evokes the whole edutainment side of Epcot that was always at the core of that particular area as well. So I liked it.
Fantastic stuff. I think it is a nice, cute place to just go and walk through, particularly at dusk when the lighting's just coming on, and you can get some amazing pictures. So I am a fan. I just feel it's quite small.
Definitely.
Which is a bit of a shame because, if things are coming in and changes are happening, it's always nice that it's something big and exciting rather than just, oh, is that all it is?
Yeah.
What else have we got thinking about Epcot that is new? Well, of course, we have Remy's Ratatouille Adventure.
We do indeed, yeah. Yeah, we did ride it. I think we only did it once, I think. Yeah, because obviously it's a carbon copy, isn't it, of Paris. Mm-hmm. So we've rode it numerous times over at Paris. In fact, you and I have ridden it together, have we not, at Paris?
Yeah.
Still do love it. I think it would be interesting to see how it works without the 3D glasses, because I know, I think over in Paris they've dropped the 3D glasses now, haven't they? It's a great little ride, and they're doing some amazing tricks in there with how they position you and move you around, and the screen work and the 4D element and what have you. So I have no problems riding and re-riding that ride. Again, it was more a case of we just picked our moment when the queue time was of a level that we were happy to stand and wait for. We did actually say we might have gone back on a single rider just to get another ride, but we never actually got around to doing that. But Remy's a good one to do. It's strange that I think because I've ridden it quite a lot over at Disneyland Paris, so it's kind of strange that it does get quite a big queue time. But I do wonder if there's a lot of people come into Epcot, and because you either go, if you're coming in the international gateway, you either go in France or the UK. Most people probably go to France, and then I think people just need to stop and take up the bakery and Remy. But nice little ride, and heartily recommend it.
Awesome. Well, the only other thing that really you might have wanted to have a go on is Test Track, but they're not in the phase of opening it back up yet. We've got a little bit more of a wait for it. So
it's funny because I know there's been reports of late the new ride vehicles, or the rewrapped ride vehicles have been online, haven't they? And they talked about hearing it and seeing it testing. I have to say, when we were there was a few times Simon said, I can hear the test track going. You know that roar that you get. So whilst they can't have been testing it continuously, there was a couple of times that you were aware that stuff was going on over there. So hopefully it will be up and running for this summer, I think, is it?
Hope so. I have heard that test vehicles have been seen flying around. So we shall see.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, because obviously they're hopefully doing some nods to Universe. What was it? Not a Universe of Energy. That's the different one. It was the Cars one, wasn't it? The Motors one. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what nods they've given in there to its previous incarnations.
Sounds like you had a pretty good time going round Epcot, because you had the benefit of the Flower and Garden Festival.
We did.
You had fairly good weather.
We did.
And it sounds like a perfect time for us to put a pin in the show and come back at a later time to discuss the other two theme parks in Walt Disney World that you got to enjoy. But it does sound like that you have been a bit more adventurous at Epcot than you were at Hollywood Studios.
I know you'd be proud. I thought you might be proud of me, Michelle.
I am.
You know,
I thought you'd bottle it, to be honest, Jane. I really did.
I think I did at one point, to be fair. But no, it's just my sort of new mantra. I am trying to try things that I would normally shy away from. So, yes. And I have to say, we visited Epcot and Hollywood Studios, actually, I will say, for both of them, a lot more than we ever had on previous trips. So I think because we discovered the walkway between Hollywood Studios and Epcot and the Skyliner, it just made that whole area so much more interconnectable, and we would quite happily walk between the two and spend time between those two parks an awful lot more than we've ever done in the past.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And I recall having my stay at the Dolphin, and because that is that midway point between the two parks, you just want to be right in the bubble. And I suppose that's the massive attraction of staying in one of the monorail resorts, again in one of those deluxes, because you have Magic Kingdom right on your doorstep. And it's nice to have the benefit of the Skyliner, because it brings what is a value hotel into having that little bit of an advantage.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's definitely something to think about when you're looking at where you may want to be staying.
Yeah. Well, guys, thank you ever so much for listening to this week's show. Massive thank you to our Patreon supporters, and I hope you enjoyed the USA trip report you exclusively got to hear last week from me. We will be bringing you some extra content very, very soon, where we're going to be discussing a little bit more in detail about up and coming Disney cruises. But until next time, find us on Instagram at DisDreamGirls. Support the show, patreon.com/DisneyDreamGirls. But until next time, it's a goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.